As a lot of you likely know, I've been getting really into drawing lots of robots and mech kind of stuff on the channel lately. I mean, both with the Transformers episodes, and then also with, Biomech Caleb, the original short story that I finally put out at the beginning of this week. But that's meant I've been doing a little bit less creature stuff lately, and I want to shift back to that a little bit more. So in today's episode, I found a good way to work in robots and creatures by taking famous robots from pop culture and turning them into creatures. Admittedly, it was going to be a dinosaur episode, like my Ben 10 Dinosaurs episode or my Smash Bros. Dinosaurs episode, but when I was trying to come up with dinosaurs to turn these famous robots into, I couldn't really think of any great connections, and then I was like, why am I limiting myself to dinosaurs? A lot of these robots already have very creature-like qualities. I can just shift them to being a little bit more biological, write some lore for them, and bam! We got a creature episode that could even fit into the same world as my dragon stuff. So that's today's episode. Also, I figured this video would be a nice easy one for me to make because admittedly I want to take some time off this week, so I thought I could make a slightly shorter, simpler video because I want to take time off without actually, leaving people without their content for the week. So that I don't really need to be telling you all this. Just, usual thing, hit the like button because it helps with algorithm stuff, and let's get right into the drawings and lore and all that kind of fun stuff. Let's go. While most of the incredible creatures on Earth are the mighty dragons you can find scattered across every continent, there are also some less glamorous creatures with equally fascinating lifestyles and traits. Today we'll explore a few, starting with the pangolin Bumblebee, found largely in the forests of the lower Americas. These creatures are most unique for their ability to transform their bodies. They're coated in bright yellow scales that protect about half of themselves when standing upright or on all fours, but they can also curl into a ball, protecting their entire bodies. In this state, these creatures can roll around at quite impressive speeds to escape predators. Their non-scaled hides are also rather tough, but don't provide nearly the same protection, so you'll often find these creatures sleeping in their curled up state. The bumble part of their name is drawn from their coloring, as it is very similar to that of a bumblebee. But, like a bee, these creatures also have insect-like eyes that allow them to be far more observant than most other creatures in the region. These beasts are gentle giants and are unlikely to ever hurt humans unless you get in between them and a foe when in the midst of a territorial battle. Now, while I am opening this video with Bumblebee, he's actually the last character that I drew for this video, and that's because I had to think a lot more about how to work in the actual transforming part of the character, and that's where I got the inspiration to make him kind of like a pangolin. And if you don't know what a pangolin is, basically picture Sandshrew from Pokemon. I could edit in a picture, but remember I'm trying to make this video a little bit quicker so I can take some time off this week. Sorry about that, I'm not trying to be lazy, but also I've tried using other people's images from Google Images before and gotten videos flagged, so I try not to do that, and I don't know where I'd get a royalty-free You know what, this isn't information you need. Back to the design, sorry about that. But yeah, the pangolin angle worked really well because, it's still very limited in terms of transforming. It's not like his whole body is changing into a completely different shape, but it's something. Of the designs in this video, this is also the one that's probably more similar to things I've done in the past. It's a very humanoid-looking creature. If you slapped some wings on this thing, it would basically be a dragon. So in that regard, I think this design is a little bit less interesting than some of the ones coming up, but I also like how this drawing turned out a lot. I mean, this is a pose I put characters in a lot, I feel, where it's just got a hand kind of on something, and I don't really know what the character would be thinking or doing in this state. It's kind of just a pose that I think works well composition-wise. Other things I'd considered working into this were having the character be able to shoot some kind of projectile, like, transforming arm in some kind of way, but I just couldn't really come up with a way that I thought worked for the kinds of creatures I'm trying to make in this. If you have any ideas for that, let me know in the comments, because I am kind of curious. But besides that, I've pretty much got this character wrapped up, so I hope you like our Bumblebee creature. Here he is. Next, we have our most violent creatures of the day. The Leatherback Omni Stomper is certainly not a beast you want to come across if you value your life. They tend to work almost like preservers of their regions. If any new creatures or beings try to move into their territory, they will viciously attack to kill or drive out the invaders. As their main form of attack, aside from stomping on their foes, they'll charge at them, then jab them repeatedly with the 4 jagged claws that protrude from each of their arms. Oftentimes, their opponents will be left looking like mashed Swiss cheese. It's a horrifying sight. While the creatures are most noticeable for their large, stomping legs and feet, they are surprisingly bad at maneuvering steep surfaces. If they come across a steep plane on a hill or mountain, they'll often avoid it or attempt to go around it. If you are being pursued by one of these creatures, your best chance of escape is to get to the nearest incline and hope it's steep enough to trip up the beast. While these creatures do not have eyes, they have very keen senses and can track prey for miles, so do not underestimate them for their lack of vision. Finally, as their name suggests, they have a leathery shell running along the top of their body, which is also their head, making them very difficult to defeat with ranged weaponry. These creatures are certainly not your friends, but stay out of their region and they will leave you in peace. Now, the ED 209 is a large part of the reason I wanted to do this video, because when I did the famous Vehicles as Transformers episode last week, I really wanted to use the ED 209 for that and turn it into a Transformer, but it's not really a vehicle. There's not someone in there piloting it, unless I'm remembering that wrong. It's been a while since I watched RoboCop, but from what I remember, it's, like, controlled or... Wow, I really should have thought this through a bit more, but there's not someone in there driving it, is what I mean, so it wouldn't have fit into the vehicles category, really. But I thought it would work really well to turn it into a creature, because, like I was saying earlier, I can just kind of change the skin on it almost to being more biological. Like, it's got such a great shape to it design-wise. I think it's just so cool looking. I mean, anyone who knows my art knows that I like really big legs and feet, so this whole look just worked so well for me. I had a little bit of a hard time trying to think about what I wanted to do with the arms initially, because they have to be very high up. I ended up just kind of putting them in the same spot they're in on the actual design, which doesn't make a ton of sense biologically because they're just so awkwardly placed above the legs. I probably could have thought that through a little bit more, but I mean, at the end of the day, I still like how it ends up looking. And I like his big, snarly kind of mouth with the lips being down. I thought that was a fun way to do the mouth while trying to keep it the same shape as whatever that part on the front of the ED 209 is that already kind of looks like a mouth. I'm so glad I finally got to work with this robot because I think it's such a cool looking design, and I enjoy how it turned out as a weird, freaky looking creature. Hope y'all do too. Here's the final result. Alright everybody, question for you. If you were making a YouTube video and you felt it wasn't long enough and you needed to pad for time, what would you do to make the video longer? Would you throw in some jokes or something? Would you maybe put an ad in the video? Or would you ask your audience some unnecessary questions that nobody really wants to answer? Let me know in the comments section. Have I padded long enough? Should I tell people to subscribe? That adds stuff to the runtime, I guess. So do that. Is padding for time entertaining? Probably not, so I should stop doing it. Probably better to have a short, entertaining video than a long, not entertaining... I'm still going. This is still me padding. Okay, fine. Back into the drawing and lore. Let's go. Finally for today, we have the Crooknecked Mud Crab, who spends much of its days crafting mounds of mud into hovels and walls. It will use its large claws to push mud into cube-like shapes. Then it will excrete a fluid onto them to help them harden, then take the hardened mud cubes to stack with others into whatever state they desire. Well, in some cases, they will do this to build themselves homes. They often seem to do this for no purpose at all. Aside from spending their days building, they'll also spend their days seeking and collecting any shiny stones or objects that they can find. In the hovels of these mud crabs, you'll regularly find bits of weapons from humans, as well as some very rare gems. These creatures never steal these items, but if they're found abandoned, these creatures will essentially claim finders keepers. The crooknecked mud crabs are crustaceans, but ones with many traits more similar to that of turtles. Their legs and the core of their bodies are more like that of a reptile. They also have long, crooked necks, as their name suggests, and very large heads and massive eyes. When in danger, they can recoil these heads under their crustacean-like shells to protect themselves, similar to a turtle. These creatures are incredibly curious, and while their mandibles and claws may seem a bit creepy or intimidating, they are very friendly to humans, and really to any creature they may come across that doesn't mean them any harm. Now, before I start talking about the design of this one, weird fact that maybe I should have known, I don't know if I'm a dope for not having known this, but turtles are reptiles, not amphibians. I always figured turtles were amphibians. I just kind of looked that up because I'd written in a line about how this creature's skin is similar to that of an amphibian because they're turtle-like, and then I looked it up really quick and I was just like, oh, turtles are reptiles. Okay. Again, maybe I'm a dope for not having known that. Maybe that's a common fact and I just had it stuck in my head the other way. But anyway, onto the design of the character. For this, I knew I wanted to make this one cute, almost a little bit sad looking, and I actually had considered making this one more of a sci-fi character before I decided that I wanted this to be in the same world as all my dragon videos, which doesn't necessarily matter for the purposes of this video, but, you know, I really like connecting all my worlds and videos together. But this character does end up looking more sci-fi-like, and I had thought about just putting it in a world similar to the one that WALL-E is in the actual movie, where, you know, humans are gone and it's just collecting trash, that kind of thing. But I was like, that's not really changing up the character enough, so I decided to go with, it makes mud cubes, so it can fit into a more fantasy kind of world. I also haven't looked at an image of E.T. in a while, but from what I'm looking at here, I think this WALL-E creature ended up looking very similar to E.T. You know, the kind of crooked, skinny little neck and the bigger head, and I think the head shape is even similar. It's definitely a funny looking, weird design that I can't decide if it looks cute or creepy. I guess it probably is, just as I was saying, a bit of a combination of both. But it was definitely a fun one to work with. I'm also not super sure about the name I came up for this one. If you have a better name for this WALL-E creature, let me know in the comments, and this isn't me just pushing for more comments. I genuinely am curious, because I don't think the name I came up with is great. But overall, I like the drawing. So I hope you all like the finished version of our WALL-E creature. Here it is. And there we have it, the third episode in my, I guess, sort of recurring series now of turning famous blanks into something else. I mean, it basically just fits into the cool stuff as other cool stuff videos, but is there another topic like this one that you think I should try? I mean, I've done famous dragons venomized, I've done famous vehicles as transformers, and now this. It's fun doing these because they give me a little bit more variety. I'm not just stuck in one single franchise. I can take a bunch of stuff that people all probably have some kind of surface level knowledge about and then change them around and write some fun stuff for them. Give me more famous something ideas in the comments. And, you know, the usual thing, if you're new to the channel, actually I guess if you're new to the channel this isn't a usual thing for you, but you know, if you like this, I've got lots of other creature stuff. The most popular series is turning different superheroes into dragons. And I'll just leave it at that this time, not gonna keep the end going because I've already done a lot of padding in this episode. I might not be as active in the comment section today because, as I said, I'm taking a few days off, so Friday I probably won't be around to reply to comments, but Monday I'll be back, there's still gonna be a video coming out and I'll be replying as usual. But anyway, everybody, that's all for today. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been PopCross Studios, home of the nerdiest art videos on YouTube. If you haven't watched it already, make sure to watch Biomet Kayla, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.